everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have lots of new people today. So exciting. All right, so let me just share my screen here just to get some things out of the way. Can you guys see the little presentation thingy?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just going over it, just by being here, you're giving me the permission to record. I'll be using this just to put it up on the UTAPTIX groups for everyone to watch the replay or whoever is not able to join. So if that's okay for you, that's good. And I'm a level 4 practitioner and I'm here as a coach and a host, not a mentor. Robert is the mentor. We are just doing a roundtable. We read from the book and we're discussing and sharing insight from each other so we get a deeper understanding of the eutaptics concepts. And it's really wonderful every time to get everyone else's experiences, insights, because as you learn from more people, just get their perceptions and perspectives, the understandings and wisdom and knowledge gets deeper and deeper. So, and that's how together we create a space for mutual understanding and growth. So that's that. So let's get started. All right. Hey, Erin, welcome. Katie, welcome. All right. So today, the first topic we have is why do we have problems? Page 18 in my book of level one. So if you all can open your books, whether online or the physical copy, and whoever would like to read a few paragraphs first can raise your hand and let's just get started. All right, who would like to read first?
My book is old.
Why do we have problems? It's right after the eutaptic presupposition structural problems,
Yeah,
which we covered last week. Would you like to read, Lorraine?
I have to find it. So pass me by.
Anybody else? Who else has it on there in front of them?
It's all written differently.
Aaron, did you find it? It's not. Okay.
I'm
I
seeing
have
how
it
do we have
on.
problems, but
Is
I'm
that
not
how?
able to find that
I got it.
that
I
Okay,
might not
good.
have. Yeah, I have that. I can do it.
Okay,
Kenneth, were
go
you
for it.
going to do it? Okay. Why do we have problems? There are many different doctrines to explain why you have problems. However, each of these only provides support for the idea that our problems are beyond our control and that we are to learn to live with them. We are stuck with them and they have given us value. Is the next, see, I'm a
yes.
little disadvantaged. Is the next title Body System Works Perfectly?
It does. So, do you have any insights on this little topic? Why do we have problems?
They're programmed. We're programmed by what we witnessed and the perceptions that we've learned or the beliefs that we've witnessed or acquired create the problems like a program like data in our mind, and our body's working perfectly healthy to manage it.
Exactly. All right. Would you like to read a little bit more, Lorraine?
The body system works perfectly. Whether we are consciously aware of it or not, there is a physical reaction to what the mind holds and perceives. Our bodies are continually reacting to thoughts and memories. This is also called the autonomic trance. The autonomic trance, the autonomic nervous system responding from the brain's captured data of the past experiences that affects the body functions such as our heart rate, digestion, respiratory rate, pupillary response, urination, and sexual arousal, which is the primary mechanism in control of our fight, flight, and freeze responses. We go into an autonomic trance state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have any more insights, Lorraine, or anybody else who would like to share anything?
One thing that comes to mind is one of the reasons I love this system so much is I've explored a lot of different systems, and so much of them have to do with like a conscious control that makes a change. You know, like if you control your behavior like this, if you follow the script, if you practice, you know, this way of reacting or this, you know, like pick your posture up, and then when you're talking with people, you'll be more confident. And like it's so much depends on a conscious trigger and a conscious discipline of maintaining something. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I really like this part of Faster EFT of Utaptics where it's like we're getting into the structures underneath that, the bigger power source, the thing that has um, a bigger ability to shape behavior without so much stress, without so much conscious like needing to kind of white knuckle the controls and like be so like I got this, like I'm paying attention, I'm doing the right thing, like just relax. Just like with a system, you can relax, you can let that go, you can change the structure that produces it, which is what I was hearing in the last bit of text. And by changing that, then naturally, you know, like you're just like, oh, like I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like that way instead. I feel the more positive production, and it just kind of happens. It's you know, it's so much easier, so much nicer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And would you like to continue reading?
I'm not finding that bit of text in my
Finding.
manual.
Maybe they don't have
Uh,
it in the new manuals. Who else would like to read? Anybody else has it in their manual? Lorraine, would you like to continue reading?
I will. I'm hoping it's the same. Like I said, I have,
Yeah.
well,
I don't know. Maybe
4
they
years
have they
ago.
they moved it around. Yeah, mine is from a couple years ago, so yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, when we have a thought or memory, the brain sends messages through our nervous system to our organs. The organs in turn respond, and then we experience a feeling. This physical response in the body is a reaction to the thoughts and the memories that we hold. So when we feel bad, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. I use this all the time. The mind is responding to a stimulus based on programming. We are successfully producing something based on what you hold or what we hold within our mind. And the body's reaction isn't the cause, but it's actually the expression of the perceptions and beliefs. The body is a servant to the mind, and it follows wherever our thoughts go. Do you want me to keep going? Okay.
Did you have any insights on that? The last part you read?
Well, that was one of the turning points for me, besides changing memories, was that the body is following the mind. And so
Mm-hmm.
therefore, it's when what it says, it's not the problem. There's a root cause. There's the seed that was planted, whatever association occurred originally, whenever, that is the cause. And therefore the body will react. If that is changed, then the body therefore will also change its response.
Yes. Yeah, you can continue. I guess it's not in the new books, so everyone may not be able to find it in their books. So yes,
Is it listed under the presuppositions in the new books?
it's right after. Oh, I don't know. In my book, it's right after the presupposition. So hmm. Yeah, not sure where it is actually.
I have the new book and it's on page 19.
Okay.
Do you read?
Good. My book's page 16
Okay.
for anyone looking for
Cool. Is there anybody else would like to read? Tammy, did you find? Would you like to continue reading?
Yeah, sure. So this is eutaptics exists within the structure of a system that works successfully. That's where you stopped, right, Lorraine?
Yes.
Okay. So we all have self-adaptive behaviors that keep us in alignment with what we hold in our unconscious mind. Faster EFT helps us step into the mind and change the resources, looking at all the aspects and eliminating those that have been used to create our problems. Whether your outcomes are what you want or not, the system works successfully. We're all working perfectly to generate the outcomes in our lives. When we change the programs in our mind, our lives change. Eutaptics aims directly at the problem. Keep reading.
I'm sure. Do you have any insights there, Tammy?
Well, I think that's probably the first time in all of my years of studying self-help where I realized, oh, there's just stuff in my mind, just like what Erin was saying. So now it makes sense why certain things happen in our lives. When we are sabotaging ourselves, we're often like, but I know better. And consciously, we think that we will do it different if we have the understanding, but it's often the understanding just gives us a portion of that help. It's those resources of whatever we saw, whatever we heard, and how it's just recreating experiences is the way I understood it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like I'm always catching myself like, wait. It's something inside of me, because we always like, oh, this happened, that happened. How am I responding? So it's always about going back in and checking, certainly. Because what's inside me, what's in my head. My book says eutaptics aims directly at the cause of the problem, which is the modalities. So yeah, it's like even like another layer deeper here. It's like, what are the modalities? Like, what are we seeing, hearing, experiencing, feeling? Our proofs and references. So it's like always just go back and check the cause of the problem, the modalities. Yeah. Would you like to continue reading, Tammy?
Sure. The most important aspect of creating change is understanding how we have problems. Eutaptics aims directly at our problems, or the cause of the problems, apparently, which are hypnotic states, also known as trances. By associating us to the memories and experience related to the problem, then using the tapping protocol to change those memories. We use the art of change process to elicit the strategy used to create the problems. One of the most important questions is to ask, how do you know that you have a problem?
Other insights? Anyone would like to share anything on that?
One thing that comes to
Lorraine,
mind
you. Mhm.
is forgiveness. Like this came up in the last section, where it's kind of just continued in this one of like there's a lot of religious systems and spiritual systems that are like forgiveness is important, and even like science is coming out more and more like when you get into meditative states and you start to forgive the people in your past, that brings up all these really positive qualities inside of healing and being productive and powerful individual like inside of yourself, all this stuff. What I love about this is like how it this whole system makes forgiveness very mechanical and very natural, like at a physical or like a internal production kind of level. Like here, well, you're just mentioning Srishti about talking about the modalities, like the cause of problems is modalities. And that translates to forgiveness by saying like we're holding on to these modalities, which is not the person anymore, which is not the thing they did. It's like it's representation in our head. And so just making forgiveness very mechanical and very like explicitly productive for the person that's holding on so tightly, all that stuff. Um, I find it really beautiful, like to be
I
like,
love
oh,
that. Yeah.
got it, forgiveness. All right, that's how we do it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for bringing that in because I like what you said, mechanical and actually like a physical change because it's changing our brains. So it actually becomes more like physical in our body, like actual change. So it's not just something we're saying, okay, yeah, forgive, but it's actually real on a concrete level. So very interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, can I add? I think that it changes the emotional state.
Hmm.
So if you have a person in your past that hurt you or did something terrible, but that you change the memory, now you have a different emotion towards that person, which is like the proof that that you actually forgave, instead of being like, how come I thought I forgave and then every time I see them I still feel this terrible feeling? Well, that's the same physical state. So the emotion is a physical state. And if you have a different emotion about that because the memory changed, then you show up differently.
I just want to answer to that question also. One of the most important questions we ask is, how do you know you have a problem? And that's where we can, part of the magic or the mechanical aspect of this, when we start actually being connected to our own dashboard. And that dashboard, when we know, how do you know? Well, it either responds physically, we get sick, we have a churning in our stomach, or we start getting a headache, or we feel flush, or our leg is starting to hurt. However, that is linked or connected to an origin again. Or sometimes, how do you know, is that we might think we see something in somebody else, but it's actually what we're seeing in ourselves. We might see a look, that look, what we saw and the feeling, like all at once they intersect. How do you know? How do you know? I keep hearing it. I keep hearing this in my head. All right. Or all of a sudden it tastes like metal, something like that.
Yeah.
How do we know? And usually that's connected down to, just like pixels of a picture, it's connected down to the 5 modalities.
It just simplifies it and breaks it down. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Is there anybody who else would like to read?
I can do. So your outcomes are based on your references. All problems are created based on your perceptions, beliefs, or references. They're all metaphorically expressed and dependent upon what is currently held within your mind. There are no failures, only expressions of your own internal references. Should I keep going? Yep. Your brain is a processing system that records, organizes, and sorts data, and is designed for your survival based on what it has captured from your environment. You express and create from the information you hold. We are, let's see, can I glitch in the PDF 1 moment?
Dynamic.
There you go. We are dynamic and powerful human beings with our greatest resource right behind the eyes, the brain. When you develop the skill of channeling that powerful resource, you will be able to achieve beyond measure. In reality, there are no problems, only undesirable outcomes.
Any insights on that, Aaron?
Reminds me, there's that NLP presupposition, there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. And that was such a huge concept for me. Of one thing that I've been thinking about so much, like since starting level 1, was wanting to focus on this shifting out of the pattern from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, where a fixed mindset is like, oh, I failed this test, therefore I am a failure. Like interpreting, experiences or performance as like a comment on myself, on my identity, as like, oh, I am a winner or I am a failure, or I did good, therefore I am good. It's like very strong and also very fixed. Like it fixes you in the feedback that you're getting. Whereas like shifting to a growth mindset, it's like, oh, I had an experience. Okay, cool. What am I learning from that? How am I changing with that? Like how am I using this experience to make myself better? And had a lot of experiences of like staying in a fixed mindset of, your grades define you, or, what your teachers or your boss or your friends or your parents think about you, like kind of is where you're placed, in in the ecosystem that you're in. And so yeah, that reminds me of the no such thing as failure, only feedback. Like again, this is such a practical system for applying that, for like internalizing that. So like no longer is my nervous system being like, I can read about fixed and growth mindset all day long, but it's like, how do you do it? Like how do I shift how my nervous system is locking me up and getting me scared or getting me, tense around getting feedback from a boss. And I like being able to shift that to being like from my nervous system upwards into my conscious mind rather than vice versa. Being like, oh, cool. Like they didn't like that thing that I did. Okay, that's fine. Like we're moving on. I'm happy to move, like happy to take that feedback and adapt my behavior. Now I also have a really great way to adapt my behavior even faster than like if I was trying to like consciously reprogram myself kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful, beautiful, certainly. Totally agree. And like before like problems or somebody did something, somebody said something, it became a problem. It was a undesirable outcome. But, you know, we all go through stuff, but like more and more starting to think of everything. How is an, how is this an opportunity to grow? How is this an opportunity to become more like okay with myself, so that world doesn't determine um based on their perceptions who I am. I can be okay with myself no matter what's going on. So everything becomes, instead of a desired outcome, it becomes more and more an opportunity to be okay with ourselves, to grow, to become a, I don't know, more forgiving and accepting person, I guess. And another line that I liked is all problems are created based on our perceptions, beliefs, or references. So it's like, what are we perceiving this as? What are our beliefs and references? So the beliefs come from the references. So and then the perceptions also come from that. So it's like, what are the perceptions? What are the references inside? What are the beliefs? So just always be thinking about that. Like, is this actually a problem or is this my perception? Or how am I taking this? So, yeah. Any other insights, anyone?
Yeah.
Examples? Yes.
Yeah, I have an example that I always like to use. It's like, so like my ex cheated on me, and I always thought of it afterwards. That is like a really great thing that happened to me because I never would have left him, because I loved our dog so much. So him giving me this reason to hate him was like the perfect way to like move on to my life, and we were growing in different directions. So it was really like for the best, and I really view it that way. And since studying this stuff, and some other stuff I've been into before, like um, just be able to view things in a non-dualistic way, like you and Aaron were saying, how like a bad situation turns into an opportunity for growth, and you can always see things that way. But like that being said, I can look back and see my ex having hurt me as like a great thing that happened. But what I like about Fast EFT, it's like that still hurt me, and that hurt is still in me, even though I can see it from a different perspective of this was great for my growth. But when I think about the actual day that like he did that to me, like I feel it in my stomach. So like you're able to, I find like the dualistic viewing is good for like the present things and like moving forward and like looking back at things, but at the same time, like I could still feel the hurt that was in that moment, even though I can still see it from this new perspective. So it's like in doing Fast EFT, I'm able to actually clear that feeling that happened in the moment. And now I really just do feel it from like the higher perspective.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it's really beautiful. We can learn the wisdom of changing our perceptions, etc., changing the meaning behind what happened. Plus, we can also actually clean up that event. So it's like dualistic, as you said. It's really lovely. Yeah. Yeah. Any other insight? We can go to the next topic, which is the transformation process. I would say that that's my favorite of all the different concepts. I have Robert's from the level one transformation process breakdown, the steps. I just had it like stuck in my bathroom, like, so I'm sitting on the toilet and looking at it, it's like, yes, take responsibility, take ownership, seek the truth. So it's just like every time it just brings you down. It's like, okay, this is what we need to do. So I just stuck it here for today's session. So who would like to read first? Go for it, Lauren. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Sorry.
I just want to keep any back sound out of here. Yeah, thank you. When we are born, our life stage has already been set. The people in your world influence your perceptions and beliefs because they are the ones you learn from. Through your experiences, you learn coping and survival skills, and your level of emotional intelligence is built on the emotional dynamics of your environment. So from these levels, first we take complete ownership and responsibility for your life and emotions.
We can like keep discussing each point because each of them is pretty deep. So do you have anything to share about Lorraine? About the first one?
Taking ownerships, yes, because a lot of times, even in Katie, in a similar just situation, we might assign whatever is going on with us to someone else. And when we first say this is mine, and these are my references and my beliefs, and these are changeable, that's significant. That's where the liberation begins. Mechanically, neurologically, but that's where it begins when we begin to say, this is mine. And we begin.
And then sometimes we get into the victim situations, they did this to me, but then still taking the responsibility, like, how am I taking part in this? How am I responsible in this?
Right. We don't change that it happened because it happened.
Yeah.
But right. It's how do we manage our response?
Correct. Exactly.
Response.
Yes. Response. Absolutely. Absolutely. Totally. All right. If you'd like to continue. Anybody else has anything to say about this one?
And just interacting with people who are not, working on a method like this or not, trained in fast EFT or whatever it is. That's such a totally different frame of mind or a way of interacting with the world of being like, and so it's like, what's it like? Like scuba diving almost, like being in a completely different world when you go into, normal society and you're just watching all these people walk around and sometimes interacting with them and seeing their reactions to life and other people. And they're like, can't believe they did this, or I can't believe this is going on in my family, or, like I'm upset that this is happening, da 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 da. And like it's always, it's the lower model of the world. It's always about them. They have control or they're the problem or whatever it is. And just like, yeah, just have that be the first part of the transformational process, like, and to have it be such a central part of this whole thing. It's like, it's really incredible to just be like, oh, okay, you're doing something, I don't like it. I now have a way to regain ownership agency. I now have a way to regain like my way of navigating the world and how I experience it, rather than just being like, oh, I can't believe I hate it whenever they come around or they're it's all their fault or whatever it is. It's really fun to regain that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, yeah. Taking ownership is like the first thing to even begin to get anywhere near healing and forgiveness. We take the ownership because, it's like, for example, like, uh, let's see, let's, anything that happens, like, okay, my mom is a narcissist. For example, somebody says like, my mom is a narcissist. So like I have clients, It's completely about, blaming mom, but it's about taking ownership. Okay, how did I react? How did I respond? Mom's a narcissist. Or how do I continue making her a narcissist? How do I become a narcissist because I'm blaming mom the whole time? That's not taking ownership and responsibility and basically ownership for our life. It doesn't matter who mom is. How are we being? How are we holding mom inside? How are we acting because of that? So just complete taking ownership every step of the way, no matter what's going on. How am I continue staying in this situation? How am I treating them? So yeah, definitely. All right. So let's get to the next one. Lorraine, would you like to continue reading?
Okay. Seek truths that will improve your life.
Any insight on that?
I have an example.
Yeah.
My daughter, often I thought, oh, she didn't, they go through different stages. I mean, she's a grown woman now, she's 30 and so forth. But at the time, I really thought that she saw me as, it wasn't very complimentary, let me put it that way. And, but the truth it really wasn't about me. The two things it was her, whatever it started for her, it was about her, not about me. But I was saying, here, I'm getting treated this way, but that's because whatever she's dealing with. It was about her. That's the truth. It wasn't about me. I was assuming it because I was the brunt of it, but it wasn't that. And it was hers. But then it also was a reflection of my own thinking. Whatever we see or we think of them is typically a mirror of how we're seeing ourselves. And so that when you seek the truth and are willing to be able to face that, it kind of like peels back the layer, peels back the cover. You can see, and that also just enforces, taking ownership, that just reinforces what you're taking ownership of. I don't know if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Definitely does. Yeah. And then also then you seek truths that improve your life, which you did. And then also like, how do you heal that to find that truth? Like, for example, finding your tactics, finding a higher wisdom, a better methodology. Because when we have a problem, we're looking at it from our perception. So how are we getting out of our perception and seeking a truth that will improve? Because there's truth and then there's different perceptions underneath it, right? Of all the 7-8 billion people. So what's the truth, So we find a modality that is helping us find the truth and then improve our life, taking us to a better direction. Basically, I guess maybe climbing up the ladder in in the transformation process to improve our life, as in the diagram there, the triangle. Any other insights, anyone? You can go to this point number 3.
Turn truth into wisdom by making it a part of your daily life.
Yeah. Anybody wants to share? Like doing daily practices, re-imprinting our memories, just practicing it daily. Looking more at our happy memories, writing down a happy journal. And instead of practicing the bad stuff that happened, practicing and finding the good things that happened. Any other insights, anyone?
I think something interesting about this point is every religion that I've come across has some kind of daily practice, has some kind of routine, some kind of like you do this meditation, you chant these prayers, you do whatever you do. And so I said one of the things that really struck me about Faster EFT was the faster part, and not just in name, but in results. Like this is transformative and things get moving. Like you start to see these shifts in how you are able to put the wisdom, put the truths into practice. Like what is it if we define wisdom as applied truth or applied knowledge? Um, then yeah, this is a very, what's the word, efficient way of transforming like an idea or a principle that we read about in a scripture or a book or from a good teacher, whatever it is, and to like actually put it into practice in a way that's like I'm able to take this goal of the standard of behavior, the standard of processing reality or dealing with myself, loving other people, whatever it is. And not only am I able to clean up the stuff that was inside of me that was already what is that Rumi quote? Like your job is not to seek for love, your job is to remove all the obstacles that you have to loving, something like that. And so this is like a really nice way of not only doing that within yourself, but also like iteratively as you go, like every day, like new stuff will come up. You're going to meet new people. You're going to find new challenges. This is also such a great system for like catching those new problems and handling them productively, handling them like very efficiently in a way that like really transforms it into to attaining to embodying that higher standard that you want to chase after. So loving it.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Any other insights?
I think it's directly connected to the next one, actually.
Yeah, go for it,
They
Lauren.
go hand in hand with develop better inner communication skills and determines the quality of our life. Wisdom, I remember when I chant, and when they say chant for wisdom, I'm like, okay, well, how do I know if I had it? But I must. But we also, like you said, using the happy journal, we have references of wisdom that we've witnessed or experienced or so forth. We have references too, but we're also following the guidance of our subconscious or our limbic system too, which is ruling in fight, flight, or freeze, right? So to balance that turn into wisdom and develop the better inner communication skills also begins with, okay, I'm feeling this, or this is what happened. What just happened? And then do your quick dashboard. Well, where did this come from? And quickly make notes, or then take the time to celebrate the good things too. Communicating with, wow, I noticed that changed. And to honor that, put it in the happy journal. To take the time to communicate, begin to communicate your own dashboard, navigate. And that the more information, the more we practice, the sharper, the better, the more improved, more in tune we become.
Lauren, that's beautiful. Certainly. Any other insights, anyone? Now we can go to point number 5.
Discovered the truth that the mind affects the body, mind-body connection.
Yeah. So deep. I think that one is very definitely sings to my heart because I was always like looking for like, okay, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Going to this naturopath or this thing or that thing or getting this treatment. But now it's like I know it's mind affects the body. It's like no matter what, if somebody gets a flu or I stub my toe, it's like, okay, how's always like, okay, mind affects the body. It's like, what am I thinking? What was going on inside of me? Just always catching what were those subtle emotions that I was like experiencing and I did not allow myself to really acknowledge and clear up, and then it mind affects the body. It's always, always, always. So, it's like before it was like taking vitamins or taking this or all these things, like, but now it's like, I know it's mind affects the body because there's nothing wrong with my body. There's because body can heal. Our body is self-healing given the chance. But if there's something wrong, it's something going on inside of me always. So always keeping that in mind, that what was going on inside, catching it. Because sometimes it can just go on in the unconscious and we don't even know that there's something going on inside, but the body will show you if there's something, okay, I got a stomach ache, or I got a cold, I got a headache. Okay, what was I thinking? What did I not pay attention to? So always keeping in mind. And as we heal the inside, our body catches up and heals. Any other insights, anyone?
I think everybody experiences when they have a session or something. Sometimes something they're feeling it in their stomach and it's there, but now, oh, it's in the arm. Oh, not just that, you can run, but you can't hide, right?
Seriously.
It starts moving, but it does. If there's something really broke, well, I'm not playing doctor here, but typically you can notice the sensations changing and moving with the mind. So if we can
Definitely.
bring
Yeah,
them on, we can also have them retreat too.
yeah, absolutely. I had a friend client, she did some swaps and sessions and she called me like 7:30 in the evening and she was like, I'm just throwing up. I'm having such bad ab reactions. And she just had some big thing come up. And so I just hung out with her, just, we just did some tapping and we worked through it. And, she was like, within like half an hour, she was just, I feel like, or she felt like she just released so much stuff from her past. And she came to such a forgiveness just to, that whole mind affects the body. She was having flu symptoms and she was throwing up. Within half an hour, she was completely cleared up and she was ready to go to bed like a baby. And it's amazing to watch this happen. It was beautiful. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So cool.
There's one other piece to this that's really that shows up for me. I grew up in kind of a small town in a rural area, and there's a lot of kind of the Wild West toughness to men, to masculinity, and not to say that it isn't in other parts of life for other people, but that was a strong part of growing up in that environment. And there was a really interesting insight that I heard from another method that was talking about how was it they use this example of like John Wayne masculinity of like there's this poster of John Wayne and he's like full of arrows, like he just got shot full of arrows, and he's like, it only hurts when I laugh. Just this like tough kind of like I don't feel emotions, like um and so that was an interesting shift that like really resonates on this point is for people who are discovering emotions for the first time or like learning how to interact with them or deal with them, like rather than stuffing them down and like learning to process them productively. Um that connection between like there's a difference between, like I feel like you're judgmental. I feel like I'm being criticized or something like that, which is not an emotion actually. It's like you're saying the words I feel, but you're describing somebody else. You're describing something that's happening to you or, rather than like I'm feeling this emotion. And the trick from like shifting from this kind of like um action, like I'm feeling somebody else's action, something whatever that is, just shifting to like, oh, like what am I noticing in my body? Like my heart feels warm or my hands feel clammy or like, maybe that's fear. Like really simplifying the language around emotions and connecting it to some kind of physical feeling. Like that was a big shift and it was a really nice gateway for people who are learning to interact with their own emotions for the first time, like shifting out of that like, tough guy, like as one example. So this was a really interesting like gateway of being like, oh, like it's simpler than I thought it was, and holy cow, it's profound. It's like it's so visceral. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, just starting to notice that in the body. So interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
I watched a cool thing last night. I was watching this interview on Gaia, and this woman who she does like somatic healing with like feeling your emotions and all that. And one of the things that she was saying that was like really an aha moment for her was she came across this case of this woman who, like, you know, people can have like split personalities and like they'll have like different alters. Well, her different alters would have different health issues. Like, so like there's a case of this woman who was blind, but then she would have alternate personalities who could see. So it's just like, so it's got to be some kind of like emotional thing here because physically her body is still capable of doing these things. So it's just like, it was such a, like an aha moment. It's like, okay, I'm going to buy your book tonight.
Well, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. What was her name? What was
Um, her
the
name
show
is,
called?
I'll write it in the chat, Brandy Gilmore.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to watch. Thank you. All right. Shall we get to the next point, Lorraine?
Release the pain and hurt within your memories. This will start to create deep changes in your life. Evolution equals growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perhaps you can read like the 6, 7, 8, you know,
Oh, yeah.
they're very similar.
Great. Yeah, I agree. Okay, release the pain and hurt within the memories. Transform all unpleasant memories, every person, every character at every age. As you are changing every character with yourself naturally, you'll create meaningful relationships within yourself and others. The natural result will be ultimate forgiveness. Ultimate forgiveness is changing all the memories for the reasons you thought you needed to forgive other, but you actually will you needed to forgive other, but you actually will set yourself free.
That's cool. Any insights on those, Lorraine?
Oh, this was the secret sauce. This, when I first started, that was the thing. When you say you could change memories, I was like, sign me up. But I didn't know how, and the word you're using, Aaron, was profound. How profound this does have the references, and it goes back to the pixels of a picture or the modalities in the information and how we return it. And when we do that, the forgiveness occurs, the emotions, the beliefs, and the perceptions are re-imprinted. But the recall begins to go back to new references and therefore has less impact on us and gives us more freedom for the happiness that we're looking for. It gives more room for the freedom.
And what I like is that every character at every age and every situation, all people, because you can change one memory, but then you can have a whole imprint of this person. You just go to all different stages. Any other insights, anyone?
I have a question because like, I want to release this like feeling I have towards my mother, but like, you know, it's from her behaviors across my entire lifetime. Like I can't remember every fight that she screamed at my dad for, you know, I can't go into that memory and change that because I like it's just like a all kind of one. It's like how do you work on that when it's more of like a joined perception from all of your experiences growing up with this person rather than like individually tapping on memories because like I don't have a great memory and I can't really like remember a whole lot of times that are like specific. So that's the big question that I have in this.
Oh, I had the same situation with my mom. So just growing up with a certain kind of behavior or personality or being in you know, like all about like, she was like, always the biggest victim, everyone did things to her, etc., etc. So just tapping on the imprint, just that whole imprint, what does that mean for you? How does it affect you? Just tapping on that, just tapping through that instead of like every memory, just the whole imprint of like
Just like the
mom's, like
feeling
when
in
you say,
general.
yeah, just when you think of mom, how does that feel? What shows up? What do you see? What do you hear? just the whole feeling in general. Just do that first, and then you can tap on the individual memories. So yeah, any other insights, Lorraine, Tammy, whoever? But this is what I did, like just the whole her general imprint, because that's a memory as well, that impacts
Okay.
all the,
Yeah.
because do the individual memories, then but then the overall umbrella is still there, then it kind of affects whatever you changed. So
Hmm.
first do the imprint and then do the individual memories.
Okay. And I imagine as I do the umbrella, all the like individual memories are probably going to start popping up in my head because that's usually how this works.
It will.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And maybe who she represents. So, like a specific word that she represents. You talked about her yelling or something. So maybe she's loud, or maybe she's rude, or like those words that she represents are kind of like her persona in your life. So it goes through all of the memories too. Does that
Okay.
make
Thank
sense?
you. Yeah, it does. Like, and like when you said that, I was like, I was thinking about her and like the words that I would use, and I could feel it like viscerally in my
Yeah.
body. So I will definitely
Yes.
use that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sometimes also, Katie, just pretend. Imagine her with one of those states, like Tammy said, or
Mhm.
you have this image or thing, and then just pretend. Just create it, make it up in front of you, and have her, if it's there with you, just make it up. It doesn't have to be real, because we are still drawing on the references that we have in our archives, that's where we're pulling from, right? Or if with your father, just make it up, just pretend, and then tap on that, because you're still getting to the core.
Right, because it's still the perception that I hold, even if I have it now.
Even if it's not this
Yeah.
exact memory,
Right.
right, if you just make it up and put them in the kitchen or whatever, however,
Right.
the spaces, and those already, and it'll come to you. And then little by little, the more that you do this, we find often more we do, then things start to begin to materialize or surface in our mind. Yeah, just keep
Thank
doing it.
you.
You're
That's very
welcome.
helpful.
One
Yeah.
other thing too. Oh, did you go? Go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead. You go ahead.
One other thing too is just so with somebody like a parent or someone that's just been in your life for so long, what does it mean about you that this person is, a lot of times it's that victim mindset that we get, like, oh, that was unfair that I have this parent or this mom. So like you took on a whole identity because you have this person in your life. So you can deal with the identity throughout all of the memories and not just individual memories also.
Okay, that's good too. Thank you.
Yeah. Definitely the identity part. So, for example, I grew up in India, and so um, as I said, like my mom was the biggest victim with all the references I had of her, right? So I changed her identity to be this goddess who represents empowerment, who is, full of kindness and empowerment. So that's what I keep practicing in my mind, seeing her as that, seeing her as this empowered yet kind and benevolent person. So completely shifting her identity. And then what that means to me, if my mom is this empowered person, that gave me, I'm not a victim anymore either. I'm an empowered person because that's where I came from. So when you change your mom's identity of who she was, instead of this loud yelling person, who do you become? So it's about, like, it's not about them anymore, it's us, because everyone inside of us is us. So when we change mom, you become a better, kinder, I don't know, empowered person,
Mm.
however you're going to change her. So yeah, it's all about identity shift, because when there's this whole umbrella, you have to change that umbrella.
Amazing.
the
Thank you so much.
color of the umbrella, whatever. Yeah,
Thank you. It's very helpful. I'm gonna write all this down and I have a lot of work to do.
absolutely. And there'll be replay. Just watch it
Okay,
again.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
certainly.
awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other insights on that or these 6, 7, 8, 9 points that we read?
Just one other one. Tristy, we talked about this when I was taking level one. You know, like as you're building out your piece list, you just like in the beginning, you're just like, oh my God, like this will never end. You know, like you keep finding like, oh my God, this reference in this character in this time period in this place and all this stuff. And what I'm noticing is like the as you go along, because of the way that memories are set up, um, it doesn't proceed linearly. Like you don't make progress linearly. It goes kind of exponentially. Like I wouldn't say so dramatically, but it goes much faster than you think it will or think that it could in the beginning because of like how the memories are networked. It's not like one, then two, then three, then four. It's like you do one and that takes out five, and then you do another one and it takes out, you know, a whole neighborhood, kind of like, and so it's just this cumulative effect. It's really like when you start to experience that, it's such a relief as to like the stress that you were thinking in the beginning, like I have to go through each one of these one at a time and each character. Oh my God, you know, it goes faster than that. Was my experience, and that was a big relief.
I remember that talk we had, yes. And then as we talked about with Katie, when you change that umbrella of that person, I use the word it infects all the other memories in a good way. You know, it's like when mom is this amazing, empowered person, it infects all the memory, and all the memories under that umbrella of mom change. They just become softer, they become gentler, they become different, you know, they just change. They get infected by this one umbrella. So yeah, for me too, it was like, how do I do this? Because but I changed individual memories, and but the mom is still the same. But you change that umbrella, and you change your identity, your mom's identity, and they will all change. Yeah.
Other little aspect,
Mhm.
it helps to work on, especially the parents, it helps to work on their childhood, not with them, but inside us. It does. It's pretty deep work. If we go back and we start just tapping on whatever memories or whatever stories have been shared about our parents, because they were also responding to their parents just like us, and which then trickled down to us, right? So that would be another thought, just sometimes whatever stories or whatever you knew about your mom, or I found that it was I find it's big work too. Just working on that child, your mother as a child.
Absolutely.
Another interesting thing will happen, and I know this because I've talked to so many different, well, obviously worked with a lot of people, but even different practitioners, and they're like, that happened to me too, is you'll have some big major memories, and then it will be almost like you have all these good memories that now show up. So it's like the bad memories are the dark window, and just taking a few and cleaning off a couple of the dark spots, and you're like, oh, she was actually, and you'll start to have these moment. It's just like when you're the memories that are bad are so focused in on that one negative thing. And so if you get a couple of them cleared off, then it like opens up this perception. You're like, yeah, but I remember this happening on that same day also, or like this conversation also. And so your actual memory will bring you a lot of good things as you clean up a few of
That's a
the
great
major.
metaphor with the window, Tammy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're just looking through this black past, and these bad memories are literally blocking the perception for, hey, my childhood was great. And and there are so many pieces that were, but you forgot all those pieces because of these few bad ones.
Fine, thank you. yeah, and then surrogate tapping. So you just imagine your mom, and you're tapping on your childhood. So like, working on grandma, working on mom, everyone, all the all the times in the past. Yeah. So when mom had that beautiful childhood, she is not going to be the same person that we perceive she is, right? Yeah. Let's see. All right. And unless somebody else has any other insights, we can, um, Lorraine, would you like to finish up the 10, 11, 12, 13? They're kind of pretty connected together as well.
Okay. And when we do this, we'll then operate from non-judgment and live from non-attachment from the opinions of others, but rather ourselves. And then you'll be creating a life with intention instead of by default. And you will be driven by passion and become highly emotionally intelligent. At some
Any
point in life,
insights?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't know if you want me to read that. At some point in life, you make the choice to stay stuck in your past or change your life and create what you want. You're either a victim or empowered. The choice is ours, yours.
Insights on that, Lorraine?
That we have control. We actually have control. We're not broken. We have control once we know how the gears are moving and how we can change that. We manage it. And through faster EFT, we can use tactics, we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that there's a Tony Robbins video. If you look up Tony Robbins and happiness, in that video, he talks about like how um the biggest let's see, how does he put it? Um it's about expectations and uh it's about no matter what anybody does, the only expectation we can have with people is they're going to do what they're going to do, right? People will do what they're going to do, and it's not about us, whatever they do. So when we let go of all these proofs and references and how we get hurt by people because of our past, right? Then we take everyone else personally, right? And we let go of that. People will do what they will do, but we can still have non-judgment, non-attachment, and we can keep living our life from intention, building our life better and better, and live by our passion, whatever. I like to use the word inspiration. I don't know, that's just mine. We live life by inspiration instead of by others' opinion, trying to please everyone, trying to do things so they will love us, so we can continue living our life with our highest inspirations and with non-attachment and judgment. And also that ultimate forgiveness that we didn't talk about in the point number 8, which I think is beautiful because when we are forgiving, others, we are actually forgiving ourselves. So, yeah. Any other insights, anyone? Mm. All right. That was really wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shrishti.
Thank you. Thank you for
Very
all
much.
your insights, everyone. This was beautiful. All right. We'll see you guys next week. I guess we'll continue with the perceptual position next week, and then let's see. I don't know. We did all the memories and stuff. Okay, perceptual position and representational systems, which will kind of go hand in hand together. So we'll see you guys next Monday.
Thank you, everybody. I really enjoyed listening to you. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you for being
Shrishti.
here.
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Shrishti, for organizing.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Aaron.
Bye.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone who I don't see. See you next week. Bye.